Welcome to the Lair of Secrets podcast, the podcast about gaming and being a geek dad by two middle-aged geek dads. I'm Ken Newquist, and I've been exploring strange new worlds, meeting new civilizations, and then blowing them up into so many little bricks. And pips, lots of pips.
And I am David Moore, and I've been enjoying summer, other than needing to buy a new car in our wonderful, supply chain issue era. But it's a good car. It's a good car. How you mentioned bricks? How have things been going?
Most excellent, because I think we talked a little bit about this before. Lego Star Wars, and there's a new version of it that came out, and I was a little hesitant to pick it up because my initial impression when they were announcing a new Lego Star Wars that it was just going to be like a reissue of all of the previous Lego Star Wars that have previously come out. And I might have still gotten that because I played the heck out of the original games with my kids when they were little. Particularly my daughter. I remember she was she was somewhat terrified of the Emperor. So whenever we did Return of the Jedi, she would run out of the room and make me fight the Emperor by myself, and then only come in after he'd been defeated because of his evil cackling laugh.
Nice.
And so I was just expecting a remaster, but it's actually all new content. It's the Skywalker saga, so it's all 9 of the movies that came out. I think there's DLC for The Mandalorian and maybe Rogue One. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet. It's cool. It's got your classic Lego fun, lots of Star Wars in-jokes, and really just so much nostalgia for me and my son and my daughter. Right. My son and I were playing it on vacation, and he was just going around beating up everything and then repeatedly hitting me with a lightsaber and breaking me into little bricks, because that's what he did when he was 5. And apparently, although he is almost 16, this is his go-to move. So
I mean, it's still fun, right?
It's
it's
still fun. I can't fault him.
Yeah, I have been playing. I played for a little while with Tegan, with my youngest, and I think I had mentioned it before. But yeah, we were both glad that it was new content. We didn't play all of the Star Wars stuff, but I like what they've done with it so far. Although when I get to it, we did not go back to it yet. Because we found a different game that we've been enjoying.
Cool. So I've also been watching a lot of Star Trek. So Star Trek: Strange New Worlds came out, which is the continuing mission of the Starship Enterprise, but with Captain Pike.
Yep. As
a spin-off from Star Trek Discovery season 2, I think. Sounds right.
Yes.
I'm loving it. So what I'm loving most about it is just it's got that baked in optimism that I really enjoy about Star Trek. I've talked about that before. Star Trek Beyond, I think, is probably my favorite of the new Star Trek movies, where they're just working together and the value of civilization and the value of collaboration and just all of that. And that just kind of just continues to be a core value of Strange New Worlds. So, and I love the episodic nature of it. It's not cliffhangery. They're more self-contained like the original episodes, which was a purposeful thing they did. There are some little things that are carrying over from episode to episode, but
there's character growth.
By and large, yeah, there's definitely character growth, and it's cool. The characters they have in there, won't ruin it with spoilers, but it's good stuff. It's just it's fun. It looks great. Sounds great.
The last episode I saw, which might be the episode that's out right now, but the last episode I saw had a very original series Star Trek to me, where they're meeting with an alien race that is not part of the Federation, and they have to they're trying to convince them to join the Federation, and they're like, why do we want to join it? They're looking to go to either the Klingons or the Romulans next to join their groups. And it's less about the negotiations, because everybody seems to get along fine. There's a puzzle to be solved by the crew, specifically Captain Pike in this case, but why aren't they joining? They've been in some discussions already to join the Federation, and it's always fallen apart, and this is the last gasp to possibly get them to join, and Captain Pike has to try and figure out what is special about these negotiators and this culture that would convince them to join the Federation. And it had a very original series and a little bit of Next Generation thrown in there too. But
Yeah.
I also like that they aren't super, this series doesn't seem to be super hung up on being 100% accurate to, like, this is prior to the original series Star Trek.
Right.
But like the technology and such like that seems more along the lines of what you would see in the original story of Star Trek, but like with the special effects of well after,
Yes,
and
definitely.
the ability to do things like shape force fields and other things like that, has a very modern Star Trek feel.
Yeah, and I like I think so. I haven't seen the episode you mentioned. The last one I saw involves the Gorn, which they get a little tease early on, and then they do some fun stuff. I mean, there's still like the Star Trek technobabble, but they had some fun with it, like playing around with the science of like exploring the atmosphere of a brown dwarf star and like what happens when you get too close to like a black hole, and it's good stuff, and it looks great. I mean, it's just modern special effects. So, I mean, we're living in a golden age of Star Trek, which is amazing. But you mentioned Next Generation, and so I watched like the episode of Strange New Worlds, and then I was going to watch Ready Room, which is like the after show that Will Wheaton hosts, right? And I fired it up, and he's like, I haven't really watched it that much. I think I might have watched one or two for Discovery, but I feel like, I wanted to learn more, right? And so he starts firing it up. He's like, we're going to talk with, the actor who portrays Captain Pike, but first, the season finale of Picard, season 2, and I'm like, wait a minute. There's a season 2? Did I miss that? I missed that. I completely missed that. I vaguely remember our friends talking about Picard, and I was just thinking I had already watched season 2 and that I was waiting for season 3. So I was indeed waiting for season 3, but I skipped over season 2.
I don't know that I finished season 1 because I had a trial of Paramount Plus initially and like had blazed through a bunch, but I don't know if season 1 had ended by the time my trial had ended. So
entirely possible. And I think you binge watched the Lower Decks too, which I think was my previously favorite Star Trek series of the modern era.
Totally my favorite. And I want season 3 of that to come out very, very soon. Like,
yes, and I will just stay up until 4 watching it.
Right.
Maybe I'll just have to go watch seasons 1 and 2 again. But Picard season 2, for those of you who missed it like I did, it is out. Not too many in the spoiler, but this is all in the first episode. There are Borg, and there is Q.
There are Borg in season 1, by the way.
There are Borg in season 1. That's right. There's more Borg because there's a defunct Borg cube in season 1, right?
Right. Which I think toward the end activates. But
yes, that sounds about right.
So in any case,
there's been so much good stuff to watch that I have not come back to Picard just yet because it's like, ooh, new Picard, ooh, Strange New Worlds, ooh.
So you haven't watched all of season 2 yet, huh?
I have not. I think I'm like on episode 3.
I was not a super fan of the season 1 of Picard, so I wasn't gonna like watch them all. But I heard that there was a pretty big returning thing happening at the end of the season of season 2. So I just watched the end of season 2. I skipped the rest of it. Sorry, but I may go back and watch it now that I've watched all of season 2. But it was interesting. It was cool.
Cool. So what have you been up to?
So I mentioned it earlier that Star Wars has kind of taken a back seat for a little bit. Tegan and I don't play very often. She's got a lot of stuff doing Color Guard and other stuff like that. So our time schedules don't always mesh. And so we hadn't played Lego Star Wars for a while. And then I saw a game had come out on my wish list and they had added couch co-op for it. And I was like, oh, let's give that a try. It's called Nobody Saves the World. And you are this white, kind of clay-like looking creature with kind of big ears, but empty hollows where eyes should be sort of thing. And you look kind of like a homunculus or something like that. And it's all done in a cartoony style. But it's made by the same people who made Guacamelee. And Tegan and I played Guacamelee years ago, and had a lot of fun with it, which is another reason why I decided I would try and pick it up. But it's more of a top down, and it, like, when I initially started playing it, I was like, oh, this has strong vibes of Stardew Valley, except you shoot things. And so basically your character finds a magic wand, and that magic wand allows you to shapeshift into other forms, like a guard or a ranger or a horse or an egg or a slug, all sorts of different stuff. And as you start out, your first form is a rat, and you go around and you gnaw on the monsters in more or less melee combat, and you can poison them, and then as you do these little micro quests, your shapeshifting ability levels up, your form of that shapeshifting ability levels up, and you get access to more powers, you get access to more forms, and the whole idea is there's this calamity sort of thing coming that had been sealed away, and now you have to find these shards to put it back together. But and you're trying to find the big wizard who's missing, and hopefully that wizard will come in and help you save the world. But you also find out that you kind of are a creature of the calamity. So that storyline wise should come in later. But it was a lot of fun doing couch co-op with it, because I played it solo for a little while, and then Tegan and I started a new game, and it's fun because you can have multiple different forms on the screen at the same time. Instead of one person playing one character, you have two characters, and each one of those can be a different form with different power sets that they've customized, etc. Wow, and it's just a fun sort of casual sort of thing. If it's anything like Guacamelee, pretty soon we will have to really, really focus, because Guacamelee was like, started out nice and simple and fun, and then they added a power, and then they added an ability, and then they added a different jumping ability, and different moves and different combos and stuff. And so I have a feeling that sort of complexity is going to be being layered on. Right now it's at a stage where we could still keep track of it if we set it down for a month and then came back to it.
Right.
Whereas Guacamelee we sat it down for a month and came back to it, and we went, I don't know how to play anymore. So, but that was a lot of fun. Last week, we didn't stream, which I think allowed us to really let go, but at the same time probably was good, because it would have been a short stream compared to especially our normal gaming streams. We successfully heisted some Black Orchid honey from both humans and a certain red shirt wearing but legally distinct roly-poly bear. So we played Honey Heist. Ken wasn't able to make it, and we had Josh's wife, Chris Miller, Aaron, and Chris Johnson. We all played. Am I forgetting anybody? I don't think I forget anybody. And so we all played. We had fun, and it was super frenetic and super crazy. And I think we had a lot of fun. I think we would have more structured fun if we played it again, because we know what to expect. And we didn't even use any flashback mechanics that are supposed to be there, of like us in a back room smoking and coming up with plans sort of thing. Right. It was all very much on the fly. My character, Aaron said, hey, you're the unhinged face character. Why don't you play that unhinged face character like Chris Hemsworth in Ghostbusters? And I was like, okay, I don't know if I could pull that off, but I will try. And just as a reminder, Chris Hemsworth in Ghostbusters was the assistant, and he wasn't the brightest guy. And he would do things like rub his eyeballs and go, "It's so loud in here." And I can't do it properly because I have lenses in my glasses.
Right.
Instead, he sticks his fingers straight through the glasses because there's no lenses in his glasses. But he thinks they make him look cooler and smarter, so he wears.
Right.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was a hilarious romp. And nothing blew up. But it could have, because
that's
Winnie the legally distinct roly poly bear was very upset that someone was very upset that the black orchid honey had been stolen from him and was going to blow up the con. So,
wow, that got dark.
Yeah, well, I prevented some of it by taking the dead man switch and jamming a jar of honey over his paw, at which point he started to lick all the honey. So yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was a ton of fun. So I think my last thing here before we start getting into our actual retrospective of season 2 is Obi-Wan, the Disney Plus series. I've been watching it. Aaron's been watching it. It's been a lot of fun. It was interesting because it mostly focuses right now on Obi-Wan's relationship and how she knew Obi-Wan. And a lot of people, there are some people who are really bent out of the shape that Obi-Wan was living on Tatooine, supposed to be looking over Luke, and yet he's off planet, like rescuing Leia and interacting with Leia. And I had that in that first episode. I kind of had that feeling. If you really remember A New Hope, Luke has no clue who Old Ben is. And you see that in the first episode is like Uncle Owen says, "Do not come near our farm. You are not welcome there." But at the same time in Leia's message, it's like, you fought with my, you know me, and you fought with my father in the Clone Wars. And it's like, well, of course she has some knowledge of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which, could be taken as stories of, but totally can be, hey, I met you when I was a little kid. And I like it. And the actor, the young actor they have playing Leia, and whoever is directing her is amazing because has a lot. She's a good actor as a kid, which is which is rare, but also has a lot of mannerisms, and the dialogue sounds like Leia.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Which is, I love it. It's a good series.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I think she is a huge part of that. I think she's channeling Carrie Fisher.
Yep.
It's good. I mean, I get it a little bit, but you know what? It's Star Wars and I'm having fun with it. And I really didn't want to watch 6 episodes of Obi-Wan just like staring through macro binoculars at Luke.
Right.
I suppose he could spend the whole thing on Tatooine yet again, fighting off Inquisitors who might be like trying to track him down or something. But like, I'm cool with it. I think I'm willing to, I like good Star Wars, and I think this is good Star Wars.
Yep.
And I'm liking how they brought the Inquisitors in from
Rebels.
I'm a little confused on the timeline. I need to go back and check that out.
No. If trying not to give spoilers, but if you're thinking about a particular Inquisitor who is in Rebels, which
Yes,
is theoretically
yes.
after this series,
Yes.
I think that Inquisitor is just fine. Like in the same way, oh shoot,
Darth
what's
Maul
her
works through
name?
it.
Yeah, in the same way, Darth Maul is just fine, in Rebels and stuff.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, he hasn't shown up again yet, but I think he's fine.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying like the post-traumatic stress. That sounds weird. I like how they're dealing with Obi-Wan and the consequences of Revenge of the Sith. I think, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, shows like the Clone Wars and Rebels and now Obi-Wan are actually like redeeming the prequels. Like they're making them better than they have any right to be.
I think, like, if we were to go back and watch the prequels, I don't know that we would really. Like, I kind of enjoyed them. Like the seeds of stories are good there. There's a lot of stuff in there that shows, like, after the Clone Wars, when the Empire becomes the Empire, like,
right.
It's like the latest episode that I just watched. It's starting to feel like what I would imagine the 1930s Nazi Germany would be like on certain planets. And that's, it's a darker, like, there's still a lot of lightheartedness, still a lot of, original trilogy feel to it, but it's one of those things where there is going to be some darker stuff happening.
Yes.
I don't think it'll get as dark as Rogue One, though.
No, probably not. But we're enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think my daughter is currently in Germany, and I think that she intends to watch it from Germany. So we have a buy so that the rest of our family can watch it. But it's definitely a family event.
Yep.
Stay tuned for a future episode where we talk about Ms. Marvel, which just dropped. But I'm definitely not watching that one until my daughter comes home because that is one of her favorite characters. And
here's something I didn't realize that just dropped, so I'm gonna have to pick that up or watch it. But Disney Plus does have, and I've never tried it. If you go into Disney Plus, there's like an icon with like 3 people on it.
Yeah.
That you could. She would have to have Disney Plus as well, and you could. But you send like an invite link, and it syncs up everything, and you could be in a Zoom call as well to talk about it or something.
I think the time zones might kill us. There's a bit possibly. Of a.
She might have to be up really late if you started in the evening.
Yes. Yeah. She's off looking at castles and stuff. So
sure. That's probably better.
Yes. She's having a blast. But in any case, I'm looking forward to watching Ms. Marvel when she comes back.
Nice.
So season 2 retrospective.
The numbers that I have in our notes are up a little bit. But just for everybody out there, we have tens of listeners.
Woo!
We've had ups and downs a little bit. Some episodes are better. Some episodes are, I think some are found via Google and whatnot, depending upon how good we are at our search engine optimization,
which SEO. We're working on.
We're getting better on it. One of the things that I've been seeing on like the YouTube side of things is that it seems like people are watching Scum and Villainy. Not cool. A ton of people, but like the people who are watching for like 2 hours. So cool. That's part of why we put this show out, is for you guys to listen to and or watch.
Yeah.
And by guys, I mean all. I mean,
Yes.
Guys
Everyone.
is just something in my head that's gender neutral, but I know it's not. I'll let you talk, Ken, while I look up this other piece of our actual top 3 episodes.
Gotcha.
As of today.
So we talk a little bit about what we enjoyed. So I think the Scum and Villainy actual play I really enjoyed it. I thought I had fun. I think it lasted the right number of episodes. I probably could have, we could have gone from like maybe another 2, but I think 6 was good for what we're trying to accomplish. We were able to use downtime. We were able to like really stretch the mechanic, like learn the mechanics. Stretching the mechanics isn't really what we were doing. We may have broken them in places, but because we didn't know what we were doing. But overall, I think Scum and Villainy did what I was hoping it would do, which is it gave us lots of stuff to talk about. It gave us something to play with our friends. And if folks happen to enjoy it on YouTube, all the better. Other things that we enjoyed were so did you have anything you wanted to say on Scum and Villainy, or you're still pulling up numbers?
No, I've got the numbers. So I was
right.
like I enjoyed the Scum and Villainy stuff a lot. It, was it perfect? No, because we were all still learning the system. Part of my reason for wanting to do this podcast was, reach out, talk to friends, but also have a semi-regular game. All of season 1 and season 2 have fit this bill. So I am very pleased. And we had a good time. And I think our ending of Scum and Villainy was epic enough and cool enough for everybody that I think we would, as a group, get back together and do another 6 or however many episodes that we want to do.
I agree. It was literally a blast. Yes. I don't want to spoil everyone for it, because we still have, I think, 2 more episodes to be released, and then the after show, if I remember correctly.
2 more episodes /edited. So I'm about a third of the way through, I think, of episode 5. So
of course, by the time this releases, everybody will be like, "Hey, but they've been out for weeks," and like, guys, this is how it works.
And if you've been watching us on Twitch, you probably saw those episodes. Could have seen those episodes when they were live. So if you're watching right now, you might have been some of those people that have actually seen it already.
At some point, we'll have a completely meta episode like Spaceballs. We're like, when will now be now? Which I think we've made this joke before, but it's still funny.
Now is now. Yes.
Now is now.
So it turns out that other than the total number of numbers, our top 3 are the top 3 that were the top 3 back then. Number 3 are season 2. For some reason, it says season 3 here. Season 2, episode 7 was talking about Godsend Agenda, the new edition of Godsend Agenda by Jerry Grayson and Capera Publishing, and our interview with him. That was a fun one.
Definitely.
Our number 2 was Improving Games by Stealing from Others. That was episode 3. Still stand by that. If you, I was actually just listening to a podcast that had Eloy Lasanta on it. He's another game designer who did his first game was Apocalypse Prevention Incorporated.
I remember that.
He does Part-Time Gods, and he's really prolific nowadays. His full-time job is doing games now, independently, which is cool. Like, he was just talking about like how to run an adventure, sort of thing. And one of the ways to run an adventure in a game that you just picked up is to read the adventures of the game. Not necessarily run those things, but if you want to like run a game yourself, in the same thematic feel, read the games that have been there and then liberally steal from them. We wanted to steal clocks from Scum and Villainy or Blades in the Dark for use everywhere else, because they're just a really cool mechanic, and they lend a lot of tension and they give a lot of visibility into stuff. And failing to pick a lock in D&D doesn't mean that you can't get, like in older editions, that you can't get through it until you gain another level. It means that you took so long that the guards might be more alert that there's somebody here. So that was our number 2. Our number 1 was our episode 2, which was talking about Scum and Villainy, campaign planning, our reading, which we talk about a lot, Animal Crossing, and the Twilight 2000 box set. Is there anything from that you wanted to, that you enjoyed out of that one that you remember?
I think what I enjoyed out of that one was, Twilight 2000. Like, I enjoyed Twilight 2000 more before it became real.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because this was November 22nd, 2021. So like,
right.
this is
so this was
a
a
bit
couple
older.
months before the Ukraine and Russia stuff started happening.
Yes. Role playing in a World War III that never was. It's still cool. I mean, it's a great little box set, and someday I hope to play it with my friends from a nostalgia standpoint. But it's maybe a little too soon.
It's kind of like breaking out Pandemic right now, the board game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're far enough into the pandemic. I might be able to get away with it, but
but it's been like 2 years.
It's been 2 years. Legacy's still sitting on that shelf right over there.
Yeah, it's not. It's not that it just started 3 months ago, or so.
Yes, exactly. No, I mean, I enjoyed like the prep work for Scum and Villainy, and I think that was the talking about the possibilities of campaigns and the mechanics we were interested that we wanted to delve into, and I think it helped, shape the kinds of things we wanted to do, and I think we actually executed on it. So I think that was really beneficial to have that conversation. I would look forward to doing that for other games that we played. Because I think it was fun, and I think that was the whole point of wanting to run some sort of an actual play game was, well, one of the many points, right? Obviously playing with friends and actually having a regular game, but kicking the tires on it, reading through stuff, brainstorming, stealing liberally from other things, and learning from things that we had done before, right? Like I think Brindlewood Bay, like for as much of a challenge as it gave us, I think was a very helpful game to play because I think it's helped us with other things.
I almost want to break out something like Brindlewood Bay or like Honey Heist was another one that we kind of learned from. Is like many of us are by default no D&D. Even if we did a lot of role playing, D&D is kind of the default for most of us. Having games where there's a lot more narrative control or a lot more, role playing in general, that is more system covered by the system is very unusual for most of us. So like I've already talked about it before in the past, but like grew up on D&D and Gamma World. In college, played a fair amount of Vampire because Vampire, the first Vampire the Masquerade came out back then.
Right.
Ran Vampire and such, and we had a lot of fun. And then some Shadowrun mixed in there at some point. Vampire was very much a role-playing game, but still not like a Brindlewood Bay role-playing game. It was right at the edge of, it was still more what some people would call a trad game or a traditional game, role-playing game. But it was much more heavily weighted toward role-playing in our group than D&D was. D&D still had to have its combat every night. Whereas Vampire, I think we both enjoyed our interviews with our game designers and talking about their games. They happen to be associated with Kickstarters, but we like, boosting our game designers, boosting them up, especially since a lot of these are independently produced. So,
yes, definitely.
I already talked about Godsend Agenda with Jerry Grayson and Compare Publishing. We also talked with Matt Forbeck, who is prolific in not only the games industry, but the video games industry and the book, and writes books, etc. He's one of the minds behind the new Marvel role-playing game that's out in like playtest form out right now. But he put an edition out for Shotguns and Sorcery, which caught my eye because it was, it's shotguns and sorcery. And you're living on a volcano that is inhabited by a dragon who is your protector against all the undead that are trying to get in and eat you. So yeah, I still haven't played it. Maybe it's one of those that we need to pick up and play. But talking about it with Matt Forbeck and talking about the game and how it came about was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one.
So topics we enjoyed. I enjoyed like talking about lunchtime gaming. It's funny we had moved into, we talked about doing a follow up on that at some point about like what it's like with like the hybrid gaming during the pandemic,
right?
Or post pandemic, because now a number of us are in the office. And so we've kind of fallen back onto everybody being in their own office while we're doing it. So I think
interesting.
It's mostly about schedules. I think it's just easy. Like you get back to your office, and because so many of our things are already on video conferencing, it's a little bit more effort to get up to the conference room to do it. But I think I'm going to try and make that effort because I actually like seeing my friends in person. And we'll see how the hybrid stuff works out going forward. But I was looking at this and I'm like, I started doing this at work in 2010. That's amazing. 12 years ago, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
I will say, I think you guys should try to do the lunchtime gaming like in the conference room all together. Obviously stay safe because COVID's still with us, but
oh yes,
at the same time, one of the reasons why I would like to have an in-person game again is I'm on meetings a lot. Yes. In the same chair. Yes. So even just moving to a different room, and even if it was on a video conference for some reason, but like moving to a different location and doing that, but sometimes just not being online. There is a certain amount of Luddite is the word that gets thrown around, but it's not quite the accurate word. But it's just like, I just don't want to be around technology sometimes. Or I want to be around more people, like not just like here on a screen.
Right.
As much as I love it, I would love to be with people as well. So
I'm telling my inner 12-year-old to get the hell outside. Yeah. Just like I'm telling my actual 15-year-old that he will be going outside this summer and not playing video games because he just got out of school.
Yeah.
And on that note, like it'll be interesting. I'll report out after we do it. But one of my friends decided to have a small little game convention amongst his friends, like the 10 of us or so that have been gaming for the last, like, I don't know, I think I've been playing with him for like 20 years, separate from my Black Razor Guild group.
Right.
And he's pulling some people together to talk about, to play a little game and just bringing people back together. I think we're going to play Castles and Crusades and just like to reconnect in the real world because damn it, we'd like to reconnect in the real world. So he like reserved some rooms, at a local hotel and we're going to game.
Nice.
So like
that's actually reminds me like every so often, some friends of ours will get together. We used to go to Ravenwood Castle in Ohio, and we do different games there, mostly board games, but with some role-playing game stuff in there. But the podcast that Eloy Lasanto was on, Productivity Alchemy is the name of it. And he was on there, and one of the things that they do, they were talking about the castle, because the host of it is one of the people who often goes there as well. They were talking about what was it called? Like Condo Con or something like that. They'll rent like a condominium for a weekend or something like that and have like 14 people show up and they'll just game.
Yes, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah. I was again tempted to do something like that as well. So, yeah, it was fun. I unfortunately don't have lunchtime gaming and have to live vicariously through your stories.
Indeed.
But I hope it continues for another 12 years.
Yeah, me too. How gaming changed during the pandemic and gaming with kids. I mentioned both of these simultaneously because we got to reunite the old overlords.
Yes.
Got to catch them all, just like Pokemon, only Overlord Edition. So we got to talk with Chris Miller about gaming during the pandemic, which I thought was fun. Like we touched on some of the topics we've just been talking about. And then gaming with kids with Chris Johnson, which I think it was cool for me to see what his experience has been with gaming with kids and how it was similar and different from what I had done with my own. And of course, you're gaming with your kids. So those were fun. I think going back and listening to them again would be fun. I don't know that I've actually, I sampled them, but I did not actually go back and listen to them.
Yeah, I know I listened to them because I edited the episode. So any critiques, feel free to throw at me, which we'll talk about on the stuff to work on portion.
Right.
But I will, trying to remember his name out there. When we get to the stuff to work on, I will have looked his name up again. But thank you in advance for letting us know that there were some episodes that weren't perfect.
Yes, yes, we appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, yeah, and the gaming with kids, and the how gaming changed during the pandemic. Those two episodes did inspire me to kind of get like ask one more time. And so Tegan and a few of her friends, we actually did do we did do a D&D game, and then we said, yeah, we only did the one D&D game, and then life got in the way.
Of course.
And then for the next 3 weeks, life is going to get in the way. So maybe in a month, we'll have game number 2. But it was an in-person game, which was also amazing.
Wow.
So
nice.
I used the TV and the Chromecast along with the Pixel Book to throw Owlbear Rodeo up on the TV in the living room.
Nice.
And everybody sat on the couch, and it was a lot of fun. And it was different. It reminded me of when I gamed at their age of like 15 to 17 years old. And that also kind of leads into one of the other topics we enjoyed, which was like talking with the younger generation, talking with my oldest daughter, Isleen, who's two years older than Tegan, how she games pretty much solely online. The only time that she has gamed in person was when we're at a con, like playing West End games, Star Wars, or
Right.
other games like that she has signed up for. And it's one of those things that there are still some similarities with how we game, like the fact that the game never starts on time. Hasn't changed. You know, and getting everybody, once everybody is together, there's still a decent amount of talk before the game actually starts. But the fact that they're all online on Discord and Roll20, they were kind of built for doing that, you know, because they've had that. They're digital natives, you know. We grew up with it. We know how all the technology works, and in some cases built some of it, or things like it, but they've been users of it since they were very small, and so it doesn't feel weird in some cases to just game online and not have an in-person game.
Right.
So
stuff to work on.
Yeah. I said audio, and I said I'd look it up, but then I was talking. Let's see.
Well, while you search, I'll talk. So part of the audio problems were my issues, because I had some issues with my bandwidth. I think it's better now. Figured out how to boost things a little bit by hardwiring into the Arrow, which is my mesh network. I've got up here on the 3rd floor on the other side of a big stack of comic book boxes right there. So I think that has helped some, at least, especially on the group podcasts. I think when we're doing the actual play and there's six of us in the room, my computer was clearly tanking, and my bandwidth was clearly tanking.
Yeah. And the other part was, for some reason, there was an interaction with the way that my network attached storage, like I have a folder on my desktop that automatically syncs to it. And I think that was causing, when I was outputting to the MP3s, it was causing the writing of that output to like get locked as it's syncing. And so as the MP3 is being written to the drive, stuff got messed up. But thank you again to John, who pointed out multiple times, multiple episodes, sometimes the same episode more than once, because I thought I fixed it and then it didn't get fixed. But yeah, so now I turn off the syncing when I'm writing the output out. And I also double check it in like VLC Media Player. I hit play and I skip to a few different portions, especially toward the end, to make sure that the entire episode is there. But if for some reason the episode is not entirely there, or is imperfect to your ears, let us know. And we will try to be better.
I will also thank Chris Miller, who has reported some audio and or missing podcast episodes.
Yes,
I posted the post but forgot to attach the file.
Yeah. There was an issue where we forgot to attach the audio to the actual post. That was
apparently podcasting doesn't involve an iPod anymore because those are dead. But you have to have a post, and you need to have content, and you need to marry those two things together so that they actually go out to people.
Right.
We're learning. It's only been 20 years.
The other stuff to work on is we have videos of our episodes on YouTube. All of season 1 is up and has been for a little while. It just has kind of a static background with some waveform stuff to make it visually interesting, but it's basically just the audio. And the second half of season 2 is being put up because that's the section that we've been streaming on Twitch and that we have full video for and are comfortable with putting out video for. Once those are out and edited and up, I'm going to go back and do the season 1 sort of treatment on the first half of season 2, which won't take too long, but I want to make sure that season 2 is out. So if you want to see us gaming for our 6 episodes of Scum and Villainy, that will again be up there. Several episodes are already up, but that will be up on YouTube in the nearish future and now. So, but cool. Time in the lair is always elastic spaghetti. But let's talk about what to look for in season 3. I'll actually kind of talk about this first topic, which is gaming. Josh actually contacted me earlier today and said, "Hey, are we doing anything on Thursday?" And I was like, "Not right now, but it sounds like he wants to do something."
Oh, cool.
So either that or he just wanted to make sure that we were not doing something so he could schedule something. One of those two things. I'm going to say he wanted to play a game.
Let's be optimistic.
He wanted to play a game. But Spelljammer from D&D is coming. And that might be fun to play. Or at least take a look at.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to order the box set. It comes out in August. I was just checking to make sure it wasn't out like now-ish or July-ish. But sadly, it is not coming out until August. But I could see that being...
Do you know when it's coming out?
Gen Con.
It will probably be at Gen Con. Gen Con, August is Gen Con. That's generally when especially the D&D's type stuff comes out. If there's like a big debut, they want to debut it at Gen Con because so many people are at Gen Con, they will buy it there.
Right.
So
but I love some people were complaining like it's a box set. It's got like 3 smaller books inside of it. I'm like, that's great. I love it. I think I you can have a lot of like books that just have a huge amount of content in it. I have a ton of books. I don't have a ton of like D&D box sets anymore. So, I mean, I have the new starter sets, but whatever. I like the form factor. I'm curious to see how it goes. And I think the setting could be interesting, especially like with, some updating to make it a little more playable.
Yeah. I think it's a little more from the very little I have seen of it, it appears to be a bit more serious than the original Spelljammer. So like less giant space hamster and more, more actual setting. Like Spelljammer kind of felt like a joke in some ways, or a joke setting. And those have a place. Paranoia is an awesome game to like kill all the traitors and stumble through and have no clones left at the end of the game. if you can end the game and all your clones just don't die. Right. It's a great comedic game. I think that's kind of what Spelljammer was kind of aiming for initially, and it just never caught with me. But for some reason, I like it. There's like a nostalgia thing for it, even though I've never played it.
Right. Well, it touched on so many different settings too. Like I think that was one of the criticisms or complaints that I had heard about the original Spelljammer run is they tried. There were eventually some books that tried to create its own canon, but a lot of times it was like Gray Space or Realm Space. Those were the supplements that you got and explore. It was like Greyhawk, plus Spelljammer,
I
as
think they're
opposed to
still going to do that though. I think it's still going to be like, hey, if you want to go to, and they're re-releasing Dragonlance too. It's like, hey, you want to go to Dragonlance, you can take a Spelljammer and land in Dragonlance.
Right.
I don't know that I like that portion of it. I kind of like it being attached to one setting and being at a different location in that setting.
Yeah,
a different
I would like
astral space sort of thing.
I'd like Spelljammer to have its own weirdness and the opportunities to visit the worlds I know. I already know those worlds. And like, so we got some cool moons out of it for Greyhawk, but
cool.
You know, it wasn't
Planescape is one of those things that is a very, like, you can go to all these different realms, but Planescapes is its own thing. And it's its own, like, I don't know. I also didn't play Planescape either, but it has a very different feel than Spelljammer did. I think the other thing that interests me though is that Spelljammer has pulled in races from the old Star Frontiers. They don't call them the same, but the winged ape-like creatures are there. The
Azarians,
the Dralsites, which are basically the giant amoeboids. You know, as far as I know, all of the alien races from the original box set of Star Frontiers are in, like, there were only a few, but they're still in Spelljammer, which I thought was cool. Although they haven't said that it's from Star Frontiers. So I don't know.
I will happily play some 5e rebranded Star Frontiers.
Sure.
You know, since I didn't actually get to play it, but or I only played it twice. So yes, I could see Spelljammer being some fun. I mean, I'm curious to see what it looks like when it actually lands. I think that there's some interesting things you could do with it, and it could be fun in a strange new world sort of way. I have a note down here, a one shot or two. There's other games that I'm curious about playing, and just like that you could probably do in a one shot. Like we played Fate before. But just like, you know, kick the tires kind of things. Like, I've always wanted to try this. Okay, well, let's see. Like, you know, I think we've done a lot of heist stuff recently, so maybe not Fiasco,
maybe not Fiasco, maybe not another heist game.
Maybe we need to let that sit on the back burner for a little bit before we get back to heist games. But, you know, I've got my Monster of the Week.
Yep.
You know, the challenge is like,
I was actually just looking at Monster of the Week as well.
Monster of the Week.
You know, another one might be good, which is you know, like a one shot of Godsend Agenda.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Would be pretty fun. One thing I want to do, and it's the last thing on our list, but one thing I would like to do, especially if we say like, hey, let's give Brindlewood Bay another try or something like that, is I want to do improv for gamers. I don't know if we'll stream it because that could be kind of uncomfortable for some people like me. But I'd like to go through the improv for gamers, like second edition stuff. Cause there's a lot of stuff in second editions for doing improv over video chat as well. And, in fact, I'm trying to use one of the techniques that they mention in there, which is when you're listening to someone, you look at their picture, but when you're talking to them, you look into the camera. And so, you know, there are things that I would have always wanted to be better at in terms of role playing and improv, and games like Brindlewood Bay or Honey Heist, or a lot of these things that have a lot of narrative control by the players, in my opinion, could only benefit from better skills doing improv. Even I'm not going to go on stage and do an improv show, but I would like to be able to come up with things and answers and better role playing, you know, dialogue, etc., in my games. And I think improv would help me do that. And I think that would be a lot of fun.
I completely agree. And honestly, I think coming out of the pandemic and actually going back into the real world, maybe this fall I'll go to a real world game convention. I haven't like DM'd in front of a live studio audience in a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like actual people at the table. You know, I think hell, I haven't run a regular weekly 4-hour game in a year, 2 years, something like that. Mostly everybody else has been running stuff. So
Yep. Yep.
I think dusting off those improv skills would help as both a player and as a DM. So
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you. Even if we don't like, I think it would be fine not to stream it, right? Like I could see like maybe doing a lessons learned episode with about improv for gamers, and maybe we try out a technique or two or something like that. If we thought there was something that was applicable to that, but like I could just see bringing the group together to talk about improv for gamers. You know, as a we did some stuff, we workshopped it, and here's our thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing that wasn't on here is like I still want to do Dyson Fall, but I've been having this real problem with like I have in my head what the world is like, but I don't know how to make that happen in a game. Like I don't see combat being a real big. I see exploration being more important than something like combat. And role playing being more important than something like combat. And I'm not really sure how to do that. And so, and part of the thing is I just need to sit down and just write, which I haven't done enough. So we'll see about that. We'll see.
Yeah, so I think we'll probably have some other sessions where we're like just you and me brainstorming what we want to do with the next season. You know, there's other stuff that we've talked about that who knows, maybe it'll actually come to fruition. But the key thing is we do want to do a season 3 because we're having fun.
We do. And definitely, and Ken, I think, is going to take us out here, but pay real close attention to what Ken says, because the things that you can do in what Ken's about to say will affect season 3 if you get us that feedback.
That's true. Very, very, very true. We'll definitely try and get this episode out before season 3 begins so we can make use of it. But we'll take your feedback at any time, which brings us to thank you for listening. As we were just saying, we love feedback. You can send it to us at podcast@layerofsecrets.com or via Twitter @layerofsecrets. We stream this live on Twitch if you want to get your fix there early and unedited. We are twitch.tv/layerofsecrets. You can also visit layerofsecrets.com, of course, and leave us feedback, topic ideas, your own thoughts about what we're talking about, or just let us know that things are broken, because we always appreciate that. But we would also love feedback on what you'd like to see in season 3. So it has been a pleasure recording and like talking to folks this season. I look forward to doing more of it with season 3.
Yep. And I would also like to say that Zeke and Zoe also appreciate you all. I muted our recording Twitch stream on my mic during most of that, but our dogs will sing you the songs of their people as we exit.
Indeed. All right. See y'all later, folks.
Thanks, everybody.